A warm welcome to all my dear 6th standard children. Today we are going to see the second part from your respiratory system. In the first part we learnt about what is respiration, and also you learnt about the differences between the aerobic and anaerobic respiration, right? Yes. So today in this class we are going to see how the breathing takes place, what is the mechanism of breathing, okay. So we all learned that what are the organs that involve in respiration. So respiration means taking inside oxygen and giving outside carbon dioxide, right? Yes. So here some organs help in respiration. We discussed about the organs which starts from nose, right? So in the nose we have nostrils, and through the nostrils the air enters into our body, right? Yes. So in the nostrils you have a structures hairs where it will protect your body to enter the germs or dust. So it blocks the germs and dust, and thereby the air enters into your nostrils. So once from the nostrils the air enters into your nasal cavity, and from there it enters into the pharynx. So the air goes through the pharynx, and here from the pharynx you can see a small opening called larynx, okay. So where it starts with the windpipe, okay. So larynx is a structure where we can get vibrations when the air enters into that particular place, okay. So from the larynx you can see the air enters into the windpipe. The windpipe is also known as trachea, and from there the air enters into the bronchi. The trachea is further divided into two branches called bronchus, okay. So each bronchus consists of a spongy sac like structures which is known as lungs, okay. So we have two lungs, right side and left side we have two lungs, and from the bronchus the branch is further divided into many branches called bronchioles, and each bronchioles are connected with the air sac like structures called alveolus. So here in the alveolus the exchange of gases takes place, okay. Now let us see how the breathing takes place, how the respiration takes place inside our body along with the air, okay. So now let us see what happens in your respiratory system. So in the respiratory system, so we can say all the air enters into your lungs, right. So we can see here the process of breathing. So how the breathing takes place, okay. So here once we see in our body the respiratory system, the lungs is present in the, that is in our chest cavity, that is thorax cavity. So the lungs are protected by the rib cage, okay. So below the lungs you can see a muscle called diaphragm. So this is the diaphragm, okay, and you can see two lungs which is present in the thorax cavity, which is protected by the rib cage. So in the right side of the lung is divided into three lobes. So we can see three lobes in the right side of the lung, and in the left side of the lung it is divided into two lobes, okay. So here these two lungs are connected by a bronchus. So this is bronchus. So each is known as bronchi, okay. So the bronchi is connected with the windpipe, that is trachea. So the trachea is protected by the cartilage, okay. So cartilage is a elastic bone which protects the windpipe, and from the windpipe you can see pharynx and you can see the nostrils. So through the nostrils the air, that is the oxygen, enters into your body and goes through the pharynx, and from the pharynx it enters into the windpipe and bronchi, and from the bronchi we can see many branches comes out. So this is known as bronchioles, okay. So each bronchioles is connected like a air, like you can see now, this is known as alveoli, okay. So each alveoli has a air like structures called alveolus, okay. So inside the alveolus is covered with the blood capillaries. So the blood from the heart, the deoxygenated blood from the heart is taken into the blood capillaries. So this is the deoxygenated blood from the heart. So here what happens, once the oxygen enters into the alveolus, the oxygen is diffused into the blood capillaries. So here in the deoxygenated blood becomes oxygenated in the alveoli. okay, and the carbon dioxide which is present in the deoxygenated blood will be diffused into the alveoli. Okay. So, here because of the absence of oxygen it will be bluish in color. So, once the oxygen is added, once the oxygen is diffused into the blood capillaries, it will become red color. So, then the carbon dioxide from the blood capillaries is diffused into the alveoli, and from the alveolus the carbon dioxide comes through the bronchioles, and from the bronchioles the carbon dioxide comes through the bronchi, and from the bronchi it enters into the windpipe, and from the windpipe it exhales through the nostrils. So, this is the breathing mechanism. So, once what is inhalation? Inhalation means taking in oxygen, okay. So, that is known as inhalation. And what is exhalation? Exhalation means giving out of carbon dioxide from the body is known as exhalation. So, the process of inhalation and exhalation is known as respiration, okay. So, here we can see the oxygen is entering. So, nearly 21% of oxygen is entered into our body, okay, and we can see 3% of oxygen and 0.03% of carbon dioxide is also enters into our body, okay. And when we exhale, so when we exhale, some amount of oxygen also exhaled, as well as the major amount of carbon dioxide is also exhaled, okay. So, this process of inhalation and exhalation is known as breathing. So, here we can see once we inhale the oxygen, so during that time our thoracic cavity, that is our lungs, will expand, and the diaphragm is the muscle that supports in respiration, okay, breathing. So, this diaphragm goes down, okay, but when we exhale, the lungs, it will constrict, it will shrink, and thereby the diaphragm goes up, okay. So, this is the process that takes place in the breathing, okay, right. So, now here you can see, as I told you, the two lungs. So, you can see the bronchioles are connected with the air sacs. The air sacs are known as alveoli, and singularly if you want to say, it is known as alveolus, okay. So, this is alveoli. So, here only in the alveoli only the exchange of gases takes place. So, from the alveoli the oxygen enters into the blood capillary, and from the blood capillary the carbon dioxide enters into the alveolus, okay, right. So, this is how the lungs function. Now, let us see what happens when during this process. So, during the respiration process, because of the food is oxidized. So, the digested food is oxidized along with the it is mixed with the oxygen, and thereby what happens, we get the energy. So, we get energy and waste products. So, because of the process of the breathing, so the food is oxidized and the food is oxygenated, and thereby what happens, we can see we can get the end products of carbon dioxide, and some energy is also liberated from our body in terms of ATP. ATP means it is a form of energy, okay, right. So, next we are going to see what is the difference between combustion and respiration. So, this is combustion. So, this is combustion. So, combustion, and this is respiration. Respiration, okay. So, this is respiration and this is combustion, okay. So, what is the difference between combustion and respiration? So, combustion takes place in the non-living things, but respiration takes place in the living things, okay. And combustion is a fast process, it is very fast process, but respiration is a slow stepwise process, okay. Next, it occurs in the higher temperature. The combustion occurs in a very higher temperature, whereas the respiration occurs in a normal room temperature, okay. So, it occurs in a normal room temperature, but it occurs in a higher temperature. Next, heat and light energy is produced. Because of the combustion, we get heat energy and light energy. But because of respiration, we get some chemicals, molecules are stored as energy inside our body. And enzymes does not involve in combustion, but whereas in respiration, enzymes are involved. So these are the these are the differences between the combustion and respiration. Okay. So combustion means it occurs in a non-living thing. Respiration means it occurs in a living thing. It is very fast process. It is very slow process, and it occurs in high temperature. It occurs in a normal room temperature. Here we get light and heat energy is liberated. So here the energy is stored as chemical molecules, and enzymes is not involved, but in respiration enzymes are involved. Okay. So this is about your respiration, right. So next we are going to see respiratory diseases. So what are respiratory diseases? So we do know that some organs that help in respiration, right. So suppose if there is any infection on these organs, maybe once we inhale some air, along with the air sometimes maybe there will be inhalation of some germs. It can be a bacteria or it can be a virus. So that germs once it enters along with the air into our lungs, so thereby it will settle in the lungs and thereby lead to many diseases. Okay. So first we are going to see about pneumonia. So pneumonia is a disease. So pneumonia is a disease where we can see there will be infection on either one lung or it can be on two lungs also. And pneumonia refers to accumulation of fluid inside the lungs. Okay. Next, bronchitis. So itis always refers to inflammation. So when there is an inflammation or when there is a dysfunction of the bronchioles, so that will lead to bronchitis. Okay. So bronchus refers to it is the place where it is divided into two lungs. Okay. So when there is an inflammation, it causes a disease called bronchitis. Asthma. So asthma, if a person air passage is blocked by either phlegm or any foreign particles, so thereby the person cannot able to proper breathing. Okay. So that will lead to dysfunction, irregular function of the lungs. Okay. So that is known as asthma. And tuberculosis. So tuberculosis occurs due to the bacterial infection. Okay. So tuberculi, once we inhale the bacteria along with the air, the tuberculi bacteria enters into your lungs and thereby it will infect the lungs. So that causes a disease called tuberculosis. Okay. So now children, so in this class you have learned about the respiration, but you should know how many times it will take in our daily life, right. So it will take nearly 15 to 20 times per minute. So I told you about the inhalation and exhalation, right. So this inhalation and exhalation, this is known as respiration. So this respiration in a 1 minute it takes 1 minute it will takes place 15 to 20 times. Okay. So 15 to 20 times the breathing takes place, right. So next, right. So in this class you learned about what is respiration and the mechanism of the respiration. In the first part you have learned about what are the organs that involve in respiration and its various functions also you learned. Okay. So go through the lesson, go through the video, and whatever we have discussed, just write and see the definitions and all. Okay. For further information, in the below description link we have attached the study material, question bank and self-assessment. Take that and copy in your biology note and read the question and answers to evaluate yourself for the self-assessment. Okay. Right children. So thank you for watching. Have a good day.